So this question here is related to question number 8 from the exam study guide. It's not the exact question, but it's the same idea. It says find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals 4x minus 6 and that passes through the point 8 comma negative 1. So we're going to be writing this equation, and we're going to actually eventually get our equation into slope-intercept form like this one, but we're actually going to start by writing our equation in point-slope form. So the format for point-slope form looks like this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. In order to do this, we have to know m, the slope of our line, and we have to know x1 and y1, which are the x and the y coordinates for any point on our line. So if we look at this problem, is there any way that we can figure out these two characteristics of our line? Well, pretty clearly we know the x1 and the y1, right? That's this point right here. 8 is going to be x1 and negative 1 is going to be y1. What about the slope of this line that we're trying to find the equation for? Well, that's where this comes into play. We know that our line that we're trying to write the equation for is perpendicular to this one. And this line has a slope of 4, right? That's not going to be the same slope we're going to use here because our line isn't parallel. I'm going to do an example like that in a minute. It's actually perpendicular to this line. And perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. So what does it mean if we say that the slopes are opposite reciprocals? Well, if we think about a slope as a fraction, like maybe the slope is the fraction a over b, then the opposite reciprocal of that fraction is going to change the sign. So whereas this one maybe is positive, my opposite reciprocal will have a negative sign, and then it's going to flip over the fraction. So it would be negative b over a. So if we come back to this line that has a slope of 4, perhaps we think of that slope as being 4 over 1. That is going to, its opposite reciprocal would be negative 1 over 4. We're going to flip that around. We're going to take the 1, put it on top, take the 4, put it on the bottom. We're going to change it from being positive to negative. And now that is the slope that we're going to use in our new line's equation. So our slope will be negative 1 over 4. 8 will be the x1 value in this template, and negative 1 will be the y1 value. So now we come over here and we plug those numbers in. So it says y minus negative 1, and that's going to turn into a plus 1 in a second, equals negative 1/4 for m times x minus 8. And now we want to eventually get our answer into y equals mx plus b form, kind of like what this one is. And so we got some simplifying to do here. First, y minus negative 1 is going to turn into y plus 1 because this negative, or this minus and this negative are going to kind of cancel each other out and turn into a plus 1. And then I'm going to distribute this negative 1/4 into this parentheses. So it's going to give me negative 1/4 x plus 2. Negative 1/4 times negative 8 will give me positive 2. Then I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides so that finally I have y by itself, and then I have negative 1/4 x plus 1. So this would be the equation of the line that's perpendicular to this line and that passes through this point here. I also want to do one quick example where we look at one where we're doing a parallel line. It's very similar, actually it's a lot easier, a little bit easier anyway, than this question up here. We're still going to be using that point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is going to be x1 and y1 because that's a point that we know our line passes through. And then the slope is going to be, since I'm looking for a line that's parallel to this one, it's going to be the same as the slope of this line. So it's going to be negative 2. So when I go to do this line's equation, it's going to say y minus 4 equals negative 2 times x plus 1. I said plus 1 here because this minus 1 is going to be put where the x1 is, so it'll say minus negative 1, which I'm going to convert to a plus 1 there. And then I'm going to distribute here. So it'll say y minus 4 equals negative 2x minus 2. And then I'm going to add 4 to both of these sides. So eventually I get to y equals negative 2x plus 2. And this would be my equation of a line that's parallel to this one. You can see it has the same slope, and it goes through the point negative 1, 4.